our assets are to about $1,030,000 right now. So I got to see the 1 million number in relation to my money for the first time, maybe a month or two ago. And that was really exciting.
I love talking about increasing your net worth. This is our barometer for wealth building success. Today, we're going to speak with an investor who has grown her family's net worth to nearly $900,000 by age 37. Michelle Onaka is our guest today. Michelle is a financial planner at Nectarine Financial and an educator at Intentional Money Life, which she founded a few years ago. And when she's not building her family's wealth and helping others do the same, she enjoys baking and traveling on adventures with her kids. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you for opening up and helping other people win like you have with your money. So let's talk, Michelle. Let's look back a little bit. What was your motivation for building your wealth in the first place?
I feel like that's a big question.
It is.
So I would say from the very beginning, I would say like going back to childhood, my family did not value some of the things that I did. So they spent money in a way that wasn't as values aligned for me. Like we didn't go on adventures really. We didn't get to go on trips. And so from the beginning, I was pretty intentional with my money because I saw that people could use it to go do fun things, or we could use it on like watching TV or, whatever that wasn't as exciting to me. So I think from the very beginning, it was to be able to do the things with my life that I wanted to do that I hadn't been able to do as a kid. And then eventually it was my husband and I saying, hey, we want to be able to retire at least by 55. How do we make that happen? So we're working towards financial independence, regardless of whether that leads to actual retirement. We want to be in a place where we could stop working if we wanted to.
That's fantastic. I love that. So yes, a motivation from growing up, wanting a little bit more out of life, and getting some adventures in there, as we alluded to in your introduction, which seems very important to you. And you are a mother, is that correct?
I am. I have a 7-year-old and a 4.5-year-old.
Awesome. And then are adventures a part of their life starting now?
They are. We've been the whole plan was to wait until the little one was 6 to really start doing adventures. But that being said, I'm from Ohio and my husband's from Hawaii and we live in Oregon. So, the non-adventurous still are kind of adventurous just to go see family. But actually this coming January, we're going to go on a cruise with my mom. It's one of my mom's big dreams she's always had. So we're going to do that. And then we'll go to Hawaii in the summer, and then hopefully the next spring, I'm hoping to take them to Costa Rica. That's been my big trip that I've been planning for a while.
I love that. Yes, life is for living, everybody, and Michelle's showing us the way. Let's talk a little bit about how you grew this net worth to where it is today. First off, income. That's a big way to grow your net worth. What did you and your spouse do over the past, 10, 20 years of your life to make money?
The income piece wasn't one that we've been particularly good at. So we met working in Alaska in 2009. We were working in tourism and we moved around. We worked in Colorado in tourism, back to Alaska. We ended up in Hawaii for a year because that's where he's from. And I was an ATV tour guide in Hawaii. So not particularly rolling in the dough. And then eventually I became an AmeriCorps volunteer. So I did that in Texas. And then I went to graduate school. And so I was a GTA and I made more money than I did in Texas. When I was an AmeriCorps volunteer, I made $12,000 a year. So when I was a GTA, I made $17,000 a year. So that was very exciting. And when we moved to Oregon for graduate school, my husband he left food service and he started working as a welder. And so I think, still, when I was in school, I was making $17,000 and he was probably making $25,000. And then he kept getting raises. And when I graduated with my master's degree in 2015, I started working in higher education. So I made $43,000 that first year. And then he was up to about $40,000. So we were making a little over $80,000, which I had told him in about 2010. I had said, hey, I'd really like to be making $80,000 before we have kids. And he was like, there's no way we're ever going to make $80,000. That's not possible. So we hit our $80,000 goal. And then, I kept working in higher education and he kept working in his position. Once we had kids, I actually dropped down to half time. So we made less money again. So we've been in the 12% tax bracket until this year. So 2024 is going to be our first year being in the 22% tax bracket. And that feels exciting because it's more taxes, but it's also more money.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you've grown your income steadily over time and just improving your skills, it sounds like, and being patient with the process, and then flexing as family needs happen, as they do for a lot of people. So generally, this was a range of anywhere from 30,000 all the way to, north of low six figures at this point. Is that right?
Yeah. So I'm not sure what it's actually going to come in at this year, but I'm thinking we're going to come in and maybe 150,000 or 160,000.
Awesome. Congratulations. Yeah. Now I'm sure you're blowing your husband away again with the realization of doubling that $80,000. That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's great. So along this process, it sounds like you guys value adventures and you value certain things and about spending, but it also sounds like investing has been a big part of your journey too. As you were growing your income, did you guys set aside a certain percentage to continue to invest? How did that work?
So we combined our money around when I graduated from my master's program. So that would have been in 2015. We had just gotten married. I was getting a job. So we were both making income. That's when we started kind of combining our income. And at that point, we decided to live fully on my salary and saved all of his to buy a house. So that was our first goal then. So we spent about a year saving to buy a house. We bought the house, and then it was pretty significant home remodels. So that took a lot of our money. And then I think after that, it was like, okay, then we had a baby and we were starting to have less of these like home remodel types of expenses. And so I know that when I started my university job, it wasn't too long after that I started my first retirement account. Well, okay, I started a Roth IRA when I was 25. It was at a bank. It was at a credit union. I made 1% annually. It was really awesome. I put $500 in and I never contributed again. So when I think I was like maybe 28 or so when I got that first full-time job. And I started contributing to my 403B, and then eventually we started maxing my husband's Roth IRA, and then we started maxing mine. So I think I remember when I was signing up for that 403B, I remember reading people saying like, well, why don't you just contribute some and then you can increase it every year? And my perspective was, why don't I contribute more than I think I can? I can always decrease it if I need to. And so I don't remember how much I contributed, but I started higher than I thought we could afford. And then I didn't end up having to decrease it. So that was nice.
It's almost like you're allocating the things you're supposed to do first in your budget line item, and then seeing how much you have left.
Yes.
As opposed to spending on all your needs and wants, and then saying, "Oh, there's only 1% left for me to invest, or 0%." So you categorized it in a different way. Is that right?
Right. And now the way that we do it is I kind of figure out roughly how much are we making, roughly how much are we spending, roughly how much can we put into our goals, and then kind of do that up front. So yeah, we have the automatic contribution going into my husband's IRA and into my 401k and all of that. And then I also look back at the end of the month and see if I have any extra money. So actually, that's the 15th of the month. So I have 2 more days and we'll see if I have extra money in my checking account. That's extra money I get to save and invest. And I'm always stoked to be able to do that.
Oh, I'm excited for you. I could feel it right now. Just looking for that extra money and having some more adventures with it. I love it. Can you help people understand the asset side? Let's do the net worth thing here a little bit. Let's understand assets and liabilities. So assets, what assets do you have within that net worth number?
Yeah. So we have our house. That's a big asset for us. And then we have my 401k and we have my IRA and we have a taxable account in my name. We have a joint taxable account. We have my husband's IRA. He has taxable accounts. We have our savings accounts. I think that's primarily it. I know technically we could count our cars, but I am way too lazy to do that, because then I would have to start adding in the values and changing those. And that's just too much work for me.
They depreciate fast, don't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So on the asset side, you told us what's in there. Is that's got to be north of $900,000. How much is the asset line item?
Yeah, our assets are to about $1,030,000 right now. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I got to see the 1 million number in relation to my money for the first time, maybe a month or two ago, and that was really exciting.
Do you use some sort of software to kind of look at it that you enjoy?
Yeah, so my official net worth numbers, I just update from a spreadsheet. I update that only twice a year, but then in between I use Empower, the free Empower dashboard. And so I can kind of really, what I mostly use it for is to see if I owe anything on my credit cards at the moment and to check on my asset allocation, but also it shows me the net worth and the assets. So
that's so funny. I do the same thing. I have my own spreadsheet because I don't want to look at it too much, but then I like that how Empower does it automatically as well. And it's free, and I've had it for like 7 or 8 years, so that's also a really nice price. And then on the liability side, then okay, so if you've got a little over $1 million on assets, what are your liabilities and how much do they total?
We just have the house, and we are just under $150,000 there.
Awesome. So you've got the mortgage on the house, and you probably have one of those beautiful low interest rates.
I do. Yeah, awesome. we bought in 2016, and we thought that was the lowest interest rate we were going to get. And so I think we had a 3.5, and then we still decided to refinance in 2020 to get a 2.375% interest rate.
That is gold, man. I love that. Or it's Bitcoin. What do people say now? People don't say gold, whatever. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, you guys are doing well. And thank you for breaking that down for everybody visually. That'll help people to get an understanding of what that net worth consists of. Now, talk to us in general about generational wealth. You've got 2 kids. You're building your wealth now. You're in your late 30s. You and your husband are doing very well. And what are your plans for generational wealth?
Yeah, I think this is a tricky one, because I think the most impactful thing that I can do is teach them. I think the education is going to be the most important piece. And so I do talk to them about money. I actually, as I was saying, I update my net worth spreadsheet every 6 months. Well, that includes their information. And I actually make a stacked area graph for all of us. So I make a stacked area graph for each kid, and it's like pink and purple and blue. And they ask to see their graph. I don't know, I tell them what it means, but I don't know that they really understand what it means. But like, they're excited to see it. They know that it's about them, and they know that it's pretty, and it's going up. So that's fun. So I definitely talk to them a lot about money. We talk about primarily why we spend money, what we choose to spend our money on. Actually, just the other day, my oldest was learning how to read numbers. And so she was learning how to read 10,343 or whatever. And so I ended up writing down our net worth numbers, our assets and our liabilities. She did not understand what it meant, but it was fun to use relevant numbers. So I think the biggest piece is really talking to them about money. Also, we do have a 529 account for each kid, and we do have a taxable brokerage account in our own names for each kid. That way we can kind of take advantage of both the tax benefits of the 529 and getting money saved for college, while also taking advantage of the flexibility of just having a taxable brokerage account in our own names that's set aside for them. So, my hope is that once they start earning income, we can maybe say, hey, if you put half of your money into a Roth IRA, we'll match you, and we have the money set aside to do that. So we're not super funding anything.
Sure,
I used to work in higher education, and I helped low-income college students figure out how to pay for college. So I am very aware of the different ways that you can pay for college without it being super expensive. So, I'm not going to have $100,000 saved for each kid in their college accounts, but we will have some money set aside for them, and hopefully we'll teach them enough about kind of being intentional with money that they will be set themselves.
That's awesome. Could you talk to me about the nuance of putting their taxable brokerage, or the idea of their taxable brokerage in your name versus a UTMA where it's in there? Did you do that purposely because of college planning? Can you talk to us about that?
Not because of college, although I am aware that there are college-based implications. The main reason that I did it is because I feel like I don't yet know my kids well enough to know that they would be responsible enough to be able to be in control of a sum of money at, 21 years old. I do think at this point, my 7-year-old, I probably know fairly well, but who knows what's going to happen during teenage years. So it's just I'd rather, have the control over it and be able to use it strategically for them, to be able to use it to help them with the things that I think are actually going to put them ahead and not going to kind of put them behind. So yeah, it's mainly just the control is why we decided to do that.
I love that. Talk to us about your future plans. You got almost $1 million in your late 30s. What's exciting to you and your husband and your family over the next 10 years?
Well, as I talked about, hopefully starting a lot more travel. So that's been a big goal. So I definitely am setting more money aside. Kind of, when my kids were younger and there was COVID and all of these things, I was like, all right, we're going to shovel money into investments right now because we don't need it for anything else anyway. We're not going to go on big trips right now. And then now, now that I'm making more money, hopefully we'll still be able to invest even more money than we were before. But really my shift, I'm shifting to say, okay, I really want to start using some of that money to create more experiences than I had as a kid. And I definitely, so my husband is a welder and a machinist. And so he works in a field that does not offer a lot of benefits. He gets 2 weeks of sick/vacation/whatever leave he wants, and he gets paid hourly, and he normally makes overtime. So even when he does go on vacation and use some of those hours, he gets paid less than normal. And so I think, to me, his job is one of the biggest things that really impacts our ability to get up and go and do fun things or be gone for very long. He doesn't feel like he can leave for more than a week and a half at a time. And meanwhile, when I studied abroad in Ecuador and I stayed and traveled in Peru for the rest of the summer, right? So for me, I'm used to if I'm going to go somewhere, I'm going to be there for a while. Yeah. And so trying to figure out how we can, while he continues working, how we can still have these trips. So for instance, this Costa Rica trip, my plan is to be there with the kids for 2.5 weeks and for him to come for about a week and a half of that time. So trying to find ways that work with our current situation right now, but then also my goal is eventually to retire him and for me to be able to step back to just more continue doing Nectarine type of work where I can kind of do that whenever and it's around my schedule, but maybe eventually not have kind of a local job that I have to go to all the time. Or if I do have that, being able to do it more remotely. So we're looking towards more freedom definitely in the future.
I love that. Well, you alluded to Nectarine a little bit there. Tell people how they can connect with you, maybe if they want to grab a session with you and just learn more about what you're doing on the financial education front as well.
Yeah. So you can find me at hellonectarine.com. There's another, 19 advisors or something, and we're all awesome. So it's a great place to go. But in those sessions, it's just a one-time, 1 hour, you pay for my time. We look into whatever you want to look into. We talk about that. I give you a write-up. And if you never want to meet with me again, you can do that. And if you're like, wow, that was really helpful and I need to come back in 6 months when my situation changes or whatever, you can kind of do that. So it's really cool. It's, pay as you go, pay for whatever you need, and that's all. So you can find me at Hello Nectarine, and then my business, Intentional Money Life. There's intentionalmoneylife.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Intentional Money Life as well. And you can always, send me a message on Instagram if you have a question or anything like that. I really like connecting with people and helping them be more intentional with their money, which is why I named it Intentional Money Life.
I love that. Yeah, at a minimum, everybody, I think it's really good if you're on social media to follow people like Michelle, because this is a movement about owning more of your time and giving it back to the people that matter. And Michelle's doing that right now with her family and her kids and herself. I think you're really blessing yourself with thinking intentionally about your money and your time. So Michelle, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
If you're inspired to grow your net worth after hearing that awesome story, you should check out Empower's free net worth tracker. This is the same tracker that my wife and I use to grow our net worth from negative $50,000 to over $1 million in just 10 years. You can access that using the links below or click the link in our video description. If you want to get inspired to grow your net worth even more, check out this next video coming up.